So today we're going to be going over how to use a self-release manual tool to work on the anterior and the middle and the posterior biceps. If you've got some fascial adhesions there, or if you've got some excess tension there. Now, I will recommend, be careful. These are usually made of steel and it can be a little bit uncomfortable. You do not want to do this to the point of bruising or really sharp discomfort that you're like, takes your breath away, because then you're just gonna have extra tension in your body. So I'm gonna recommend you really go lighter than you think you might need to. And I'm also gonna invite you, if you get any tingling down the arm, if you get any like sharp zaps, that's an invitation to pause and that you might have bothered a little nerve. So focus on going gently. And we're gonna think about the anatomy here. We got an anterior deltoid, we got a middle deltoid, and then we got a posterior deltoid that sort of wrap around like a little tripod around the shoulder. I wouldn't recommend using a tool like this to get your posterior deltoid. It's just gonna feel way too awkward, right? So you can use a self-trigger point release ball for that. This is more geared towards the anterior and middle deltoid release, and because of some relevant anatomy, we're also going to be getting some biceps release. I recommend either doing this through a shirt so that you've got some glide, or using some massage oil that you have no allergies to. Coconut oil, apricot oil is another really good one for a lot of folks. I wouldn't necessarily, you can use massage cream, but most people find like lotions don't glide that well, or they absorb too rapidly, and then you're still just pressing on your skin. So you're gonna start with, you're gonna sort of feel, where do I have some bony ridges in the front? And if you think of your shoulder as a bullseye, you're gonna boop, just scoot a little over to the side. And then right about there, you should feel something that comes down in this direction. And all of our deltoids attach right about here, a third of the way down the humerus. That's this big bone here. And that's about where they attach. It's that nice sculpted edge of the shoulder. And I promise most of you have one, even if you're like it's buried in there. And so you're gonna take your tool and you're gonna scrape down at an angle following that curve. Notice I'm not pushing directly in, I'm pushing at about a 30-degree angle, following that glide and looking for that tender spot. That's really how I get that anterior deltoid. You can position your arm further forward, you can hang it further back. I wouldn't recommend holding it tight like this, make sure it's supported. And then to get the middle, you're just gonna come more out to the side like this, reaching across. That's where more of my spicy stuff is. There's a bone up here. You do not wanna press on the bone. The bone can actually be a reference for your start point of like, okay, here's bone, and then you walk down and you're like, squishy bits. Work the squishy bits, coming down to that 1/3 point. And that's really how you can release that middle deltoid. And now you can see these little red marks that we've got here. That's normal histamine response. This is okay. This is sort of the point here. We're trying to stimulate inflammation and healing and growth, because in this context, inflammation will lead to healing, because the inflammatory process is a healing process unless you have some particular other conditions that we need to track. So this red stuff, that's fine. If you start to see burst capillaries, like really small, like bright red things, that's called petechia. That is your skin's invitation to stop, because your skin is like, I can't take this anymore. Now we've got anterior, middle, and next we've got biceps, our big beautiful biceps that runs right down through here. You can flex and you'll sort of see like, okay, it's coming up. It's gonna be a very thin rope right here in the front of your shoulder. So if you find that bullseye and you drop off to the inside, that's where your biceps is. Same concept. Do short little scrubs up at the top towards that tendon attachment. It'll feel better. And then as you get down into the muscle, you can do these longer streaks. And maybe you can adjust angle. Again, I'm using this stylus grip here. I'm not sticking my finger through. And that's really how you can get anterior, middle deltoid and your biceps.